Welcome back to Against My Better Judgment, the podcast where two friends,
I'm Tamara Golden.
and I'm Dannelle Whiteside, tell the truth, share the lessons, and laugh about the moments that we knew better, but did it anyway. Each week we share real stories about our lives, about the times that life surprised us, stretched us, or just straight up humbled us, and the lessons that we learned along the way.
And this season we're titling it, How I Learned. Life lessons, strategies, you name it, how we learned all sorts of things. And today's episode is going to be how Dannelle learned that God is real.
Yes, he is.
That makes me think of the song, you know God is real in my soul.
Yes, God is real.
That's it.
For he has washed
Yes.
and made me whole. Yeah.
Made me whole.
His
All right.
love for me.
His love for me
is like pure gold.
is like pure gold.
Yes, God is real.
Yes.
Oh, I can feel
Yes.
him in my soul.
In my soul. That's it. I love that. So, Dannelle, how was your week?
It's been a good week. It's been pretty steady. I have been a little more intentional about walking in sometimes during the day, getting up, from my desk, and when I get the little alerts, it's time to stretch your legs, go walk around a little bit. So, trying to just get it in here and there when I can.
It's smart.
Yep. What about you?
No, my parents visited. So, with my parents,
I
usually
love her parents
comes
too.
In fact, that's what you love. Like, people don't ask me how I'm doing. It's like, hey, when your parents coming? Like, that's kind of how it works. But with my parents comes usually either a barbecue or a fish fry or something like that.
That's why we love your parents.
Exactly.
Your dad, I love your mom. Your mom is so sweet, and she loves the boys too, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. Your dad, though, he be in there cooking,
cooking and making up stories. Mm-hmm. I've never heard him tell the same story the same way. Even the climax is different every time. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. So
what does he say? Let us hear. I love your impression of your daddy.
Let me think of the story. So I'm trying to think of this week what his big thing was. He was kind of low key and chill for the most part. But so fish. So everybody's like catfish. He wants to tell the story about how, now, that's yellow cat. I'm like, yellow cat? He's like, you ain't gonna get this. Now look at it. Now that's yellow cat. Like, look how white it is. I was like, well, wouldn't it be white cat, Dad? No, that's yellow cat. You can't get that except for in Missouri. Only in Missouri gets you yellow cat. So Dad was telling us how, he gets yellow cat. And so you can't get fish anywhere else in the United States except for the fish he makes because it's yellow cat unless you go to Missouri. So that was his big story this week. So let's get to this. I'm very interested in this one because I never thought about the moment that I knew God was real. So I'm very, very intrigued.
Yes. So trying to figure out where to start about my awareness and knowledge of God. I grew up in church. My dad was minister of music. And so we weren't the kids that were in church. Like some people say, yeah, I was in church every day that they turned the lights on. I can't say that, but I was in church Sunday, Wednesday for Bible study, and Saturday for choir practice. So
well, that's
3 days of the 7. So
that's every day, every time they turn the lights on. Same. That's the point. It's not literal.
And so I've just always kind of been raised with a spiritual foundation, a knowledge of the Bible, a knowledge of God. And I credit my parents with just helping to lay that foundation of like an understanding of who God is and that he speaks to you and being sensitive to the spirit inside and what it's saying. But, when you are a child, you hear your parents, you go to church because they take you. But there comes a time when you actually experience it for yourself, or at least that's been my experience. So I just wanted to kind of share when those moments have been. So why are you looking at me like
because
that?
I'm very intrigued because as you speak, I'm really trying to work through my brain. Like, when did I know?
Yeah. And so like I was a kid that like would talk to God, and I felt like I, was sensitive enough to know when he was speaking to me. So the first story is I might have been around 8 years old at this time. And it was rare that my mother took me to school because we've talked about this before. My dad usually was the one to take us to school. But this time my mom was dropping us off, and she told me, when I drop you off, go behind the car, don't walk in front of the car. And so I heard what she said, but I also was like, well, in front of the car is closer to the door, so I'm going to walk in front of the car.
I call that hard-headed.
Hard-headed. And hard-headed make a what?
Soft butt.
There you go. So I was being hard-headed, and so I walked in front of the car. And as I did that, it was another car that was speeding toward me. And it didn't, because of the way that I walked out in front of the car, the car did not see me. My mom describes that she was in the car. She saw this happening, and all she could say was, "Oh, Jesus," because she just knew her baby was about to get run over. How this car stopped, I don't know, but it stopped like right in front of me. And I stood there like, oh my gosh. And then I just turned around and went in the building. And I just knew that God had been protecting me in that moment.
Like literally, that's where your brain went.
Yeah. Because I don't know why that car didn't run me over.
He has a hedge of protection.
He does.
Wow.
He does. That's the first thing. Okay. Then there was, and I have notes over here. So, okay, recently I have had an experience at work that's been very difficult.
Okay.
Very difficult politically, emotionally. It's probably been the worst time in my professional career without going into detail. And at moments, I was very nervous with respect to what my involvement could mean for my future employment. Okay. And so I had been praying to God about, like, really help me, Lord, to navigate this situation in the way that you would have me to do it. But there was a part of me that was really concerned about, like I said, at some point, could someone come back and say, well, we're going to let you go or what have you. So now, as an adult, my relationship with God has grown, and my intentionality about tapping into what I call the Holy Spirit has been developed. And so there are times when I see signs. I dream dreams that actually happen. I see signs that actually mean something. And so occasionally there are signs that I see. So we're talking
premonition.
In some ways, yes. Okay. In other ways, signs that let me know that it's going to be okay. So in this particular, one morning I was driving to work and I saw a turtle crossing the road. And I don't know why I paid attention to that. I don't know. But I saw the turtle and I was like, okay, just put that in the back of my head. So again, this is while this tumultuous situation at work is happening, and I'm still praying that God would help guide me as to how to make the situation better. So then the next day I saw another turtle crossing the road. Now, it's odd that you would see on two separate occasions a turtle crossing the road, right?
Agreed.
So I looked it up.
Hey, why did the turtle cross the road?
I'm going to tell you.
All right.
Because a turtle crossing the road is a spiritual sign that you are covered from danger. And I looked it up, and that's what it said.
Where did you look it up?
There's like a little like online spiritual kind of thing resource that I consult. Okay. And so I was like, that's just another message that God was like, it's okay, don't worry. If you see the symbol of a turtle crossing the road, they're not fast. So it's not like they can dodge a car. But the fact that it was still making its way in spite of cars rolling over it in the midst of danger, and they have this hard shell and this protective covering, just let me know that God was saying, it's okay. You might be in the path of what seems like danger. It might seem tumultuous, but you're covered. And so I felt peace knowing that God had my back in that situation.
You know, on that one, I never knew this. I never knew what a turtle crossing the road meant, but literally, within the last, let's just say 5 days, a turtle crossed our road. Someone stopped. Everybody we have this little group chat in our back alley, and it came into my yard. And I too have been going through, I'd say tumultuous situations, a few. And I do think that there must be something about just peace and security that I just thought, oh, a turtle crossing the road, no big deal, because my brain doesn't go there.
Yeah.
So, wow,
Yeah.
thanks.
Another time, I get signs from everywhere, whether it's in my dreams or what I see. And a lot of times nature will give me signs that I'm like, oh God, what were you trying to tell me? So one time, and I posted this on social media when it happened, even though I didn't see what it actually meant until weeks later. But when it happened, I had come out in the morning, and we have those big picture windows in the backyard. So I always open the blinds. It's kind of like my first thing to do. So usually I open the blinds, but this morning I didn't. And so the kids got ready. They all left the house. And then I opened the blinds. And when I opened the blinds, I saw a dead rabbit in my yard. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And so I was like, well, let me just look up to see what this means. Because I always see rabbits in our backyard, but they're usually alive. And so I was like, let me see what this means. I thought it meant something bad. But seeing a dead rabbit is a spiritual sign that a new beginning is coming. It's like a natural close to one chapter of your life, and a new beginning is coming. So once I saw that, I was like, okay, this is interesting. It said it could also be a spiritual sign of a loved one who lived a long life coming to a natural conclusion. So my grandmother had just passed away about a month before that. But I kept leaning into, okay, if this means like the death of an old season and going into a new season, what's that new season? Well, then like the next week I got notified that I got into school.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've seen a dead rabbit too.
Have you?
You know what I thought about that dead rabbit?
What?
Was I hope my neighbor gets it up because it was between our houses. I'm telling you, the dead stuff freaks. It's just, so I was just hoping that my neighbor and
it's a spiritual sign.
But
so
thank you, Mike.
Signs are everywhere. Another time and I'm just giving you, we're telling stories here about times that God showed me he was real. So in our kitchen, we have a stove, and then above it's actually two stoves, two ovens, right? So above that, we have a cabinet, and above this cabinet has like my nice platters, and because we like entertaining, so like big bowls and everything like that. A lot of things that are fragile and breakable, whatever. So at the very bottom of the two stoves is like our pans, like the, muffin tins and, stuff like that. And so Donovan was between a crawling baby and a walking baby, I would just say. Like I think he might have been able to walk, but he also could have also been a crawling baby. But he was mobile. So he loved to go to the bottom of that cabinet and pull the things out, the pots and pans out, beat them up and all that kind of stuff. And I never minded that he did that. He also liked to push the drawer in hard and hear the noise, which is, again, baby doing that. I didn't mind that. So me and my husband were sitting at the table, and he kept doing that. Well, I guess the vibration caused the top cabinet to open, and all of the fragile, very heavy baking dishes and platters fell down right on top of him. But nothing hit him. Not a single dish. They all broke around him. When we picked him up, the wood was dented, scratched up and everything, but he did not have a single scratch on him.
Yeah. Okay. Look at God.
Look at God. So
See, but that's why I wouldn't have had him slamming, opening, closing that door and banging on these clean
well,
dishes.
now
in the
we
first
got a
place.
little clasp there so it doesn't happen again. And I lost all my good platters and everything. So it's not that many up there anymore because they all fell out and broke. But like he should have died, like any one of them.
He definitely should have gotten injured.
No, like seriously, one of them hitting him in his head, glass breaking. Like, how is he still here today? Is what I'm saying. It was a miracle. God is real. God is real. God is real. Even though she's trying to debunk my theory.
I think he definitely should have got injured, but you just jumped to.
Because he was a baby. So getting hit in the head with very heavy.
He could have died, but he definitely. You said should. I mean, geez.
Anyway. There have been times where, like, when you face financial hardship and like an unexpected check comes through or, I remember when I moved to Philadelphia and I had my house here that I was renting out, I wanted to rent out, but I didn't have a tenant. And the people that I was using, the property management company that I was using was actually using my property to find other renters for other properties that they had. So they weren't really trying to rent out my property. So it was taking so long. And, we've talked about this when I lived in Philly, I didn't have extra money. I was broke, just making ends meet. So I was not going to be able to pay both my rent in Philadelphia and my mortgage in Nashville. And so it was getting down to the wire where I literally was not going to be able to make ends meet. And I decided to make a strategic decision and let go of that property management company and then let a friend of mine manage the property. And she was looking. And the day that I was going to have to pay that I didn't that money was going to run out is when I got a tenant and he paid the deposit and, everything was okay from there. And so it's just all sorts of things that like in the nick of time or this sparing you from a disaster or reminding you that he's with you. And so for me, I know there might be people out there who don't believe in God, and that's fine. I'm not trying to force you to, but I can't not. It's just
too much about him
to doubt him, girl. You just said something right there.
Yes.
Anyway, so
you have back a little bit into that. In that, there are definitely our brains work so differently. In that, so there are a lot of things I never really thought about. Ooh, that was definitely God. But what I've learned as I got older, and the closer I get to God, the more open I am to other things. And my point being is that the closer I get to God, the more interested I am in the Quran. The closer I get to God, more interested I am in Buddha and the tenets of Buddhism. So it's, for me, the closer I get to God, the more freedom I have to explore things safely, because I'm so rooted and I'm so grounded that I feel good about it. But I'm also curious about what's good out there that I'm totally missing out on because I'm solely honed in on God. So I think my journey has been a lot different because while I've always, not always, but I've known God, the way in which God looks has changed for me throughout life. The concept of God being a female rather than a male, or maybe a male or a granddaddy or a young person, or the person that we see when we're watching Chosen, has totally changed, and it ebbs and flows depending on what point I am in life, and where God is when I walk has changed, omnipresent. It's so many things about God that has changed, but ultimately I think I have what we would call just spiritual freedom. And it's it could be too loose for some, but as I always say, for you to be in my circle, I don't care what your higher power is, but you have to have something beyond yourself, for me to understand you, for me to gravitate towards you. So yeah, my idea of God has definitely ebbed and flowed. And I'm also open to be okay with not knowing what's right in And so I've been really good with that.
Yeah. Well, I think, the scripture says like we cannot fathom the depth and breadth of God, his love for us, who he is. And I'm saying universal he, but the scriptures also say that God created male and female in his image. So if we are creating his image, then God has to have male and female characteristics. Like that's the only way you can square it up, Yeah. So there's just certain things that I don't, I can't know.
Bother me. Correct.
I can't know because I'm not God. And so, sometimes people struggle with the fact that there are things that they just can't know or they don't understand. Yeah. But I agree with you that, once you know the truth or the truth for yourself, that then you can be open to hearing what other people's truths are and not judging that. Like I said, it's not my business to tell you what you should believe or how you should believe, how you should practice your faith, because that's an individual relationship.
Correct.
And you have to be accountable for that individual relationship that you have. But just for me, again, I have to have that foundation. I just know that I cannot be successful without leaning and depending on God, because my strength can only get me so far, So I have to have something else to fall back on. And when I am confused in a situation where I don't know which way to go, that inspired and divine intervention that helps me to think through situations, like that's my cheat code. Like when I'm trying to strategize and I'm like, okay, God, I have no way to see my way around this. And then all of a sudden I have an inspired idea, or someone comes into my life and shows me a different way to go. I'm like, that's God leading me and guiding me. And so I can't help but to believe that God is real.
No, I totally agree. And every time if I get too far away from him or her, you just universally him, I'm reminded, like if I get too close to certain people, like lately I've been having to lean and rely solely on God, because there are certain people that I have trust issues with, or, and things that I've never had before. So, the farther I get away from God, the more, or the more direct he is in making sure that, oh no, don't forget where the answer is. So it's kind of neat. So
cool. Well, that was an interesting discussion, and we're going to move on to our next segment, the Will Be the Judge segment. And this one is funny.
Okay.
Do you have an HOA in your neighborhood?
Absolutely.
I do too. And so does this person. She says, I don't actually know if this is a man or a woman, but we're going to say she.
Okay.
I need y'all to weigh in before I lose my mind and my deposit. I recently repainted my front door a nice navy blue. I checked the HOA guidelines, and while it said color should be neutral and harmonious, there is nothing specific about navy being off limits. Fast forward 3 days, I get an email from the HOA president, who for the record lives 2 streets over and can't even see my door, saying the color is not in alignment with the neighborhood aesthetic and demanding I repaint it in an approved shade. She even attached a color palette that I swear she just made on Canva. Am I legally required to repaint it? Should I appeal, or should I just start slowly changing one thing a week until my whole house is navy? That sounds petty.
That's what we're not going to do. This is an interesting one, but, first off, you check the rules, you check the bylaws. It sounds like, as we do know, there was no real ambiguity is going to be favorable to you. But this one is probably going to be a little accountability on both parts. I do think that if you would have taken that extra step and just said, hey, here's my color sample, let's do this. It's irrelevant where the HOA person lives, because obviously you can drive down streets and see your door. I would just appeal it and see what happens with the points of, hey, this is neutral to me. There's no indication, and maybe even if you can find some more doors in the neighborhood that have maybe a stark contrast to the color of your home, I'd probably just appeal it if anything.
Yeah, I don't know if you're legally required to paint it, especially if the HOA guidelines are vague. But man, HOAs are so annoying. You know,
until somebody has a couch on their porch.
Well, that's true.
They have
That's
a
true.
boat parked in their front yard. It's like insurance.
let me tell you though. So across the street from my house, you've seen it. Our neighbor has, so his house backs up to a hill, and the hills are normally like lots of trees and bushes and everything. So he decided he didn't want to cut the grass. So he put loud green tarp over his yard. Now, the HOA should definitely be enforcing because it looks so tacky, like so tacky.
But it's been years now.
It's been years. So I'm like, but then, you know, if I have something, no. But I'm pretty sure other people have.
Did you complain?
I did not, because I just
like
at this
people who
point
don't
I'm
vote.
just like, fine. But somebody needs to do something, because then if it's like if your grass is high, then they want to be coming and getting you for that. So it's like
HOAs. I love HOAs. They keep order. You know the rules before you move into that house. And yeah, if you have an issue, you got to bring it up to your HOA. You can't expect now it's been years, so
it's been years, and they need to take it off because it looks bad. But I will tell you, because she said the HOA president isn't even on their street, so how did they even see it? Sometimes people call, because let me tell you something.
Unless you're Dannelle, she does not call.
Yeah, but let me tell you something that happened to us. So at one point, our yard was kind of like a dangerous slope down,
back?
The back. And so we were trying to make it even. And so we had a person to come with a dump truck to fill in the dirt.
Yeah.
Well, I was at home and they were dumping the dirt and they kept going back. Well, the truck flipped over with the person inside. Yes. So he got out. He was like, he had like a gash on his head. Like he kind of got hurt. But anyway, somebody else from his company came and picked him up, and then he left the truck at the hill because it didn't slide all the way down, but it was flipped over. So like we told our neighbors like, hey, this happened. They're gonna come get the truck, but we need a little time, because by this time it had started to rain like almost every day, and so the ground was too wet for them to come back and get the truck for an extended period of time.
I mean,
girl, so my neighbor next door,
facing your house to the left or the right?
To the right.
Okay.
Called the HOA on us after I had already given them a warning.
How did you know it was them?
Cause they sent the HOA called me and they showed me a picture of the truck and was like, is this in your backyard? And I'm like, yes.
Said no.
And it was from their vantage point of their house. So I knew they did it. Then so I gave them the explanation. They were like, okay, that's fine. You know, we'll give you a couple months to fix it. Then they called codes on us. So I don't fool with those neighbors to this day after that, because what you're not going to do
is call codes.
Thank you.
Raggedy.
So anyway, they came and got the truck, as I knew that they were going to do eventually once it dried up enough to have that happen.
It's a whole truck.
But people are petty is my point.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So that's why I haven't called on my neighbor across the street, because I'm like, I don't want to be petty.
Oh,
it looks tacky, but
that's not petty though. But anyway, that was a horrible comparison you just made. That is not why. But anyway.
So I mean, all I can say, girl, is have a conversation. You know, maybe that will help.
Yeah.
Point out that the guidelines are specific enough to prohibit your navy door. Navy is considered a neutral color by most standards. I think you're okay, but I would just have a conversation about it. But you know, those HOAs, they can start finding you and all those other things, put liens on your house. So if it doesn't get resolved at a low level, I might consider painting, because you don't want those problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to Against Our Better Judgment section, where we confess to the things we did, even though we knew that we shouldn't have done that. So what do you have to tell us, Tamara?
Well, I didn't really know better, because I do a lot of like DIY type stuff, like just the fun stuff. I just enjoy it. And in particular with my landscaping in my yard. So I plant flowers. I weed my plants, and I've always had flowers, and I like the front of my house and the sides to look a certain type of way, same with my yard. So I have nailed this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm pretty good at it. And this is probably one of those curses of thinking you can do everything. So it came every year. I'd get my yard aerated. Most of the time just once a year, but sometimes twice a year.
What's the process? Because I know my husband always talks about he's going to aerate the yard. And
there's a sweet amount of, there's a specific amount of time in which you have like a 3-week window to aerate it for the fall and then for the spring. So
all I know is it just takes him so long to do it.
Well, it's a machine. And I've seen, I had mine done a few years, and I see people doing it. So a few of my neighbors get together, they buy an aerator for one day, and they aerate their own yards, and they pass it around. And then you're out of like $20.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, that really beats me, who have to pay almost, well, not quite $300, but to get my yard aerated. So I'm like, okay, I'm in. And these are all men that run this machine, but it looks like think of a mower times 3. Okay. So you have to
a manual mower, not a riding mower.
Yes, you have to stomp this thing down and push in, and then this thing it kind of moves itself. So I'm like, Kevin can do it. I can do it. So I see people doing it. Mind you, my front yard, unlike a lot of my neighbors, is a slope. It's my front yard slope, my backyard's flat. So I'm going to start in the front. Strategy, because I know I'm going to be tired. So I was doing good on the side because it's flat. I'm like, oh, who would ever pay somebody to do this? And I'm pushing. It's hot. It is the hottest day of the year, by the way, when we do this. And I'm like, I can't believe people pay people to do this. And I'm like, so I'm really fussing at the fact that I paid somebody to do this all these years. And I can see some of my neighbors looking at me. I'm getting slow. I get on that front yard. Whew. And the reason I know God is real is that I did not have a heart attack. My heart I've never felt my heart beat like this before, to where I didn't want to turn the thing off because I didn't think I could get it back on. So I took a break, went in the house, drank some water.
Was it still running?
Yes. Came back out, hit it again. I could only do one stroke, one back. Then I was just hands on my knees. And then here comes neighbor Nick. Neighbor Nick says, hey, neighbor. Mind you, by now I have done the front, most of the front. I'm lacking the entire back, really. That's really all I'm lacking, which that's the flatter part. Neighbor Nick's like, hey, neighbor, you want a break? Usually I'm like, no, I got this. I said, yes. I was like, just let me get some water right quick. Let me cool off. And so by the time he finished the side over there, I cooled off. I was like, I got it. He's like, oh, no, neighbor, I got it. I'm telling you, neighbor
that was
Nick,
God right there.
That's my point. The way you see God, you see turtles and you see rabbits. I see neighbor Nick, who came and saved the day. And against my better judgment, I took away from the economy. I didn't let somebody just go ahead and knock that out for me and stay in my lane. But now I know. I had no idea it was that difficult. I totally did not respect that process.
Listen, you did way more than I ever will.
Yeah.
When we got married, I told him, you get the outside, I get the inside. So I'm not cutting grass. I don't even fool with the flowers. I don't do anything outside. That's not my ministry.
That's not. That's fair. That's fair. So anyway, there you have it.
Yeah. So what are we taking away from this conversation today?
A lot of stuff. I think ultimately, just recognizing when God has stepped in, just literally recognizing it and giving it that type of respect, a power outside of you, whatever your God is, and know your God can't be like alcohol. Like, I'm not talking about that. So whatever your God is, recognizing it and honoring it and respecting it. And then knowing your limits.
Yeah.
Whatever they may be.
And I will say that my takeaway is just keep your eyes open for how God is going to show up, because God shows up in the smallest of signs to the biggest of signs. Sometimes he shows up as a hand in need. Sometimes he shows up in intervening to stop a calamity from happening in your life. He shows up in the nick of time. But God is real. God is everywhere. God is in you. God is in me. And the more we recognize God in each other, the better we can treat each other and the better our lives will be. So I think that's the end for today. Thanks for joining us for this conversation.
See y'all next week.
See you next week. If you want to send us your questions for us to be the judge, send them to againstmybetterjudgmentpod@gmail.com or a message on Facebook or Instagram at Against My Better Judgment Pod.
Yeah. And give us a like, click, subscribe, give us 5 stars and thumbs ups.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. But otherwise, have a great week.
Have a great week.
We'll see y'all next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.